Hello everyone, Erin here. I'm filming this on Monday morning, which is Labor Day here in the United States, where we celebrate the achievements of the American worker with its roots in the late 19th century labor movement, in case you didn't know. I filmed this video, by the way, we're here for our unedited garden stroll. I filmed this video yesterday, and I'm going to put in the amazing viewer mail that I got first here, and then I'm going to film a new tour now, because I'll tell you what, the tour from yesterday was low energy. I think I was not feeling it. And I thought, this is a downer. Let's go walk around the garden, have a good time looking at what's happening in the garden. So viewer mail, then you'll come back to me on Monday. Let's see what we have in here. We have all sorts of pictures. That was me being grumpy, I'm sorry. Okay, this is a really long letter from Charlotte. And I think this came from Germany. But here, let me show you the beautiful pictures here, and we'll try to... This is the balcony of Charlotte's flat, July 2024. I hope you can... Hang on, we got to move this so you can see the pictures good. So that's Charlotte's balcony with some beautiful... gosh, it's a gorgeous geranium and some really pretty coleus there. This is Kleiny's Fest in Gruppengarten in July. Here's a postcard. Oh, maybe this is Danish. This is Danish, you guys. Thank you. Sorry, Charlotte. Dear Erin, here, I love your postcard idea. Here we go. There's a whole letter in addition to this. I love your postcard idea. Finally, I get to write to you. About a month ago, I went with a friend to Klein's Fest in Grubengarten, the small festival in the great garden of Herrenhaus in Lower Saxony. Sorry, I'm trying. I should read these things ahead of time so I can get a feel for someone's handwriting. Some impressions of this great and grand garden in the formal French style on the reverse. It has water feature, fountains, parterres planted with boxwood and bedding plants, hedges, mainly beech or hornbeam, that create rooms, a labyrinth garden theater, pavilions. Also, Charlotte nicely says, I believe you like stamps. You are right, Charlotte. She says, therefore, a selection, 85 cents, 50 years of Playmobil figures. Work with Lego, which is Danish. 85 cents is 75 years of German Constitution, 1945 to First World War II. 75 cents, Cologne Cathedral and Bridge, which was destroyed in World War II but rebuilt. 70 cents, Bertha Benz, wife of Carl Benz, one of the innovators of the automobile, Mercedes-Benz. She drove 106 kilometers in 1888. That, of course, equals 65 miles. Thank you for doing the conversion. With one of his prototypes to promote it. Cole didn't know about this. She took two of her teenage sons along, and there was no petrol station, so you had to buy gasoline in a pharmacy. Bertha Benz is the first person to take such a long car ride to test a vehicle. She did it in 1944, age 95. 1944, age 95. Amazing. Thank you, Charlotte. I'm going to read through all of this, but it's very long, so I'm not going to do that here. Let's get on with the tour. Don't mind the chairs outside. We had the robot vacuum running, picking up sand in the kitchen. Okay. The dahlias are unimpressive right now, for good reason, which is that I have been aggressively deadheading. My nephew's wedding is this coming week, and my sister-in-law, his mother, is doing the bouquets for the rehearsal dinner. And then I think they're going to the reception, but they're like auxiliary ones for the reception. Anyway, I have told her that we can cut anything from my garden So in order to make sure the dahlias are in really good shape for bouquets on, excuse me, on Thursday, well, we'll make those bouquets probably Thursday night. I have just been deadheading everything so that all the energy of these plants is going into pushing out beautiful new flowers. So there are only a few flowers on many of the dahlias. I also, rather inconvenient here, I hope we have some more of these because these are really cute. This is, what is in there? Something's in there. Oh, it's just flowers. This is Lakeview Peach Fuzz. This is one of the ones that overwintered here last year. Quite an interesting dahlia. Anyway, I did find thrips on the dahlias this week. Now, I found it pretty quick, and I've been using this Neem Max. I feel like I got a handle on it pretty quickly. Now, I don't think they're gone. Thrips are difficult when you have them, but I feel like it made a big difference really quickly. So I think I caught them really quite early. By the way, I'm not worried about, I mentioned this on Instagram. Here's the banana. Hang on, I will go back to the thrips in a second. A few weeks ago, I kind of asked everyone if you thought I should cut off some bottom branches, and I did, and I bet you don't even notice. I cut those off because we had more wind and more rain, and I'm so sorry, excuse me. Those branches, leaves really started drooping and were really ripped up. So as you can see, as new leaves emerge, the old ones sort of naturally get pushed down. So I still think this looks, actually I think this looks great right now. I'm quite happy with how that's looking there. Okay, while we look at the circle garden, I'll continue about the thrips. So I mentioned on Instagram about the thrips a lot of times. The stuff you hear about now, I'm talking about in basically live time on Instagram. And someone said, oh, well, you know, Laura, the current answer is using beneficials, and I've been following that kind of experiment of theirs closely. They have thrips every year because thrips love the conditions that Laura is growing in out there in her dry, high desert area. Thrips are pretty uncommon here, and I hope they stay that way. This is, to my knowledge, only the second time I've ever had thrips in the garden. So I'm not worried about this becoming like a persistent long-term problem, but I am following that beneficial insect sort of project that Laura's been working on closely because I'm interested to see how it works out for her. Finally, I have a few zinnias popping up through here, but I am really happy with the Wild Magic Basil that's in the front here. I always love this plant. I grow this plant every year. This year I moved it over here. It's beautiful. I mean, I grow this, by the way, totally edible. Tastes like a Thai basil. And it is not grown from seed. It is a patented variety. It's only available to buy as a plant. It's also supposed to be mostly sterile, so that's one of the reasons for that. I don't deadhead this because I don't eat this. I have other basil to eat that is much, frankly, in my opinion, much tastier. But I don't deadhead this because I think the flowers, even when they're spent, are really beautiful. Now, I sometimes will go through and do that. I'm not going to do it now. I think it's pretty the way it is there. Sorry, the sun is, we got great big angle on the sun here. This is Orange Skyscraper Salvia, which I planted for the first time this year. I think I like it. It's interesting. I don't find it to be orange. I think it's kind of hot coral pink, sort of. I did cut this back basically by half, cut off all the flowers, I would say a month ago, maybe, and you can see it's come back quite a lot. You know, if I have a complaint about it, it's that I don't feel like the calyxes are as pretty as they are on some salvias, although like here, well, these are, you know, this is still going to open, but like here, well, it's not bad, actually. The calyxes are not bad. They do green out a little bit. I think, you know, I think I'd grow this again. I think I'd try to grow it with something that gets about half as tall as it. Like, for instance, if I had put these profusion zinnias, which I bought and popped in there just a couple weeks ago, if I had put those in from the get-go and that was filling the bottom and all you saw was these kind of coral spires coming up. I think I would like that look a little bit better. Let us go. Which way are we gonna go? Which way are we gonna go? We're gonna go this way, which is the way I always end up going. I guess I'm just a clockwise kind of person. I was just watering over here last night, but I tell you, my hose, yeah, so I was really worried about watering that hydrangea, and I can see now that the sprinkler did not reach it. So things have gotten dry over here. You know, this is a little shrub border that I started last year, and my intention here is to not have any of this grass here. I don't want any of this grass here. The whole idea of this is to get rid of the grass. And you know, the idea was that we were going to wait a little bit for these shrubs to grow in a little bit, and then I'd come through here and probably cardboard all this grass and then mulch over the top of it, because it's a pain, obviously, to mow around these plants. Maybe I'll do that sooner rather than later. I think at some point, I don't generally like the looks of shrubs just plopped in grass the way they are here. I don't think that's a very good look. I think it looks much better when it's in a bed. You can see I have a neon burst dogwood kind of temporarily placed back there, so I think I'm gonna pop that in probably there. There's a winterberry that died behind it. One of the few things that didn't make it through last year. So I'm thinking about putting that dogwood there. You know, I like to let plants sit around a little bit so I can decide what they look like before I put them in the ground. I think we've talked about this before, but I will say that the autumn-dried heuchera, the flowers are so pretty. Really, really pretty. And these obviously blooms later than a lot of other heucheras does. And they're big flowers. So I actually feel like it's a nice way to get a little bit of height in a shade garden. Always struggling for height in shade garden. I have Ectia and Fuga planted in here, and I gotta tell you, I think maybe it's too much shade for them. They rarely get flowers and they don't get very tall. So I'm gonna say that's probably too much shade. One of the things I also asked about in a video, was looking for some opinions on in a video a couple weeks ago, was whether I should think about putting some sort of small weeping tree right here, like a weeping Japanese maple. And a lot of people liked that idea quite a lot. I am a little concerned about how moist this part of the garden gets and can stay. That is not a condition that a Japanese maple would really like. So I'm just kind of debating whether that's the right plant for this area. I don't want anything big. I mean, we're thinking small here, right? And sculptural. One of the things I'm thinking about is getting one of those like metal raised beds, round raised beds, maybe like 18 inches tall and not too wide, you know, 30 inches wide, maybe 24 inches wide even, maybe probably 30, and just sticking it in there, and then hoping that this stuff that I'm growing around it, the astilbes and not so much the Carex Flocka Blue Zinger, which tends to lay down a little bit, but some of the Hacklocloa, etc., would cover that up. I don't really want it to see that. But I think maybe if I raise that up enough, then I would solve that problem. Debating it. A lot of people also suggested a red leaf one there. I would not go red. This area is dark and it needs brightening. So my thought is a dissected green variety, which I have scoped out. There is a really nice one at a really nice nursery near me. I'm debating it. I also don't know if, I think it's one of those things where if I'm going to do that, I got to do it like right away. I wouldn't want to wait too far into fall for a Japanese maple, particularly one where the roots are raised out of the soil a little bit. Also concerned about that because I don't have great luck with Japanese maples. I've killed a lot of them. So especially if I'm going to invest in a really good one, we want to be cautious about that. I don't need to spend a lot of money killing a plant, just a little bit. Stuff is taking its time in here. You know, I've planted along the edges here. I'm glad I got that in when I did, because I really want that to be filled in come spring. Weed. Last week I showed you this Caryopteris, and I'm going to show it to you again because that's how pretty this is. What a gorgeous, gorgeous plant that is. Calathea Matros White still showing off. This is its season to just look amazing. I guess we could say that the Blue Prelude Nepeta has finally started to look pretty shabby. These flowers are, you know, like, I'm all for dying flowers. I don't know if that's interesting or ugly. And certainly there's like one stem in here that's dead. This plant was a division last year, and it's bulked up quickly. This is a really good plant. Also over here, now we have a little bit of ragweed behind here, so I do have to get in there and pull that out. But check out this beautiful great lobelia, which is flowering in two places. So it has the tall spikes that are basically flowered out, and then down here we've got side spikes on it that are flowering. Beautiful, beautiful plant, wonderful native. There was a creature running through the creek. I see some weeds in there. Somebody better take care of that. That somebody is me. A couple of years ago, I planted a lot of, what is this plant called? Gilded toad lilies. Why do I always forget that one? Quite a bit of toad lilies in here. And I'm hoping we see, you know, well, do we have buds? Because we should have buds. Yes, we do have buds in there. So hopefully these will be mature enough now that we get a pretty good show of flowers on those. Toad lilies, a really good one for shady spots, I think. Blooms obviously late since we're still, I mean, probably the latest thing in my garden to bloom, I think. Maybe that or the monk's hood. I'm still in love with these. I hope you can see these. Let me actually go this way. Maybe it's better this way. Yeah, probably. I'm still in love with this trio of pots. Really quite happy about. By the way, I had a lot of questions about how these are hanging from the tree. So let me just see if I can show you in a way that you can actually get a feel for it. Okay, so these we have used just very basic. In fact, let me lift this up so you can kind of get up there. Okay, very basic nylon twine. I think it was about 99 cents from the hardware store. And then we spliced it so that there's a loop here without a knot right here on the end. You can go on YouTube, learn how to splice. This would be a great line to learn how to splice with, because if you mess it up, it's super cheap. And then we have it just over a branch up there. And then it comes back down about halfway, which would happen to be the height of we can get a ladder to. And then we have a little clamp on there to tie it off. And the way we got that all the way up there is we put a weight on a line, on it like a tracer line, and then we just threw it a whole bunch of times until we landed on a branch that we liked. That was a fun activity for an hour or so. So that is how those are hanging from there. Hopefully we don't have to deal with those very often. And I'm really looking forward to getting these. Well, I mean, obviously I don't want these to go anywhere. I want these to last as long as possible because I think they are amazing. But I do think that I will do these for the holidays. I think winter, it'd be so pretty to have these planted. So looking forward to, you know, having more containers to do for winter, which will be nice. Just another repeat from last week, which is this Millennia right here. I don't know if all Millennias are like this, but the few Millennias I have experience with are really nice, delicate grasses that stay upright but not columnar. And this one is Millennia Paul Peterson. This is something that Roy Diblick brought. This is the Roy Diblick garden here, and this is what he put in here, which was a new plant to me, which is why you hang out with Roy, because there's always new plants. But just a really nice habit on this one. Not quite like, well, first of all, this is obviously can handle a part sun scenario. But in addition to that, you know how Carl Forster is very, very upright? This one kind of has a vase shape, but doesn't get floppy, which is kind of nice. There's some sticks that used to be hostas. We look at those every week. Here's a toad lily over here. This one's older than the ones in the garden over there. And it's just nice height, very pretty, good texture. Kind of looks a little bit like Solomon seal, actually, and I love Solomon seal. But here's a variegated Solomon seal. Kind of has a similar, textural, concept behind it, I think. More Calamintha montrose white, looking good, good, good. So this is the time of year, I think it's natural for gardeners to start thinking about the next year when you've sort of mentally checked out of this year. What I would like to add to this garden is, first of all, this is a hydrangea, and I couldn't tell you which one. It's Hydrangea Macril. I put it over here because I think it actually has really nice foliage. It has never bloomed. That's why I can't tell you which one it is, because it has never bloomed. I don't know that I need to be keeping hydrangeas that don't bloom around. So that should come out. I just get lazy about these things sometimes, and that doesn't happen. I would like to put some of that Heliopsis bleeding hearts in here. That's kind of a newer plant. I talked to a lot of fellow gardeners who love it, and then I saw it in the Bailey display gardens when I was at Bailey Nursery in early August, and it was stunning. So dark foliage, really bright, mini sunflower type of flowers on it. I'd like to get some of those. If I can find those this fall, I'd like to get, I should really finish one sentence before I start the next one. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get as many perennials planted yet this year as I can in places where I know that I need them if I can find them. Here's a place we've not been yet this year. You might even forget that there is a path around the back of this garden. So let me just show you where we're at first. So this is, this is the garden that I did in a video. I kind of cleaned this up because this was such a stinking mess. It's looking very good, by the way. It really perked it up. And so far, I showed you last week that I've been, I put down some pine straw mulch. I'm really, really liking how it looks. I'm almost inclined to go get like a whole bunch more and mulch all the gardens yet this fall. And you guys know that's saying something, because I detest mulching. One of the plants we put in here in that video was this aster, which is now like fully blooming. Really pretty. That should get taller and hopefully fill in this area back here, because we have kind of a hole back here, but that's really a nice little pretty one there. Of course, Angelica gigas, or gigas, however the heck people pronounce it. I've always said gigas. Okay, so this garden, there is a path that goes from over there to around here. And it's been such a mess back there. It's cleaned up now, so I can actually walk you back here. And there's some good plants back here that have been hiding. This gets probably half day of sun, maybe more. You wouldn't know that right now. Also, the sun is low in the sky right now, so everything's getting less sun. Anyway, okay, there's a David phlox here. I love David. The deer also love phlox. So as much as I love phlox and would like to plant more, maybe, it's a lot of work to keep them looking good. This is a Hackmacloa. This was one called like Benny something. I'm pretty sure this is another one that has reverted. So I've had some revert. I had a whole discussion on Instagram with people about reversion. I had some that reverted over in the other garden, but to me this now is looking much like the species, which is, so straight Hackmacloa macra is just plain green. It's quite a bit taller than all of the other ones that I'm aware of anyway. So reversion is really common in variegated plants. Keep in mind, actually, see, this is interesting because along the edges here, I actually feel like maybe that's just crispy. I don't know. But what I was saying is that variegated plants usually are just like naturally occurring. Variegation is usually how those things come about. And it's like a weird little quirk that happens, right? They are always weaker than the species, the plain plain green ones, because variegation has, there's less chlorophyll there. Variegated plants are always weaker than their non-variegated sisters and brothers. So a lot of variegated plants are not always stable, meaning they are prone to reverting to what they were. And you can stop that or slow it by cutting out, getting in there, either digging out or cutting out, and a lot of times just cutting out the parts that have reverted. And that's how you would keep your variegation. That said, sometimes if you miss it, the stronger part of the plant takes over, and so you get a fully green plant. I'm bummed about this one because it was kind of an interesting variety. The other ones I don't care about that much because I actually prefer the species to the areola one that was over there. Here's some stinking hellebores, Helleborus fetidus, which is fun to say, which is why I say it, that I bought on Facebook Marketplace from a local gardener. She was selling a whole bunch of starts last year, and planted them over here. Beautiful plant. I'm going to put some more of that in the garden. I'll show you where I'm working on a spot next. This is that hosta that everyone has. This is the hosta that everybody gets from their neighbor or their mom or their fellow gardeners, because everybody gets rid of it and it's just prolific. And I no idea what the name is on it, but it's just the green one with the white edge. And this hosta is more prone to every kind of damage. I'm actually shocked there are leaves here yet, that the deer haven't fully eaten this one, but look at the slug damage on it. It's just super prone because the leaves are not thick, and like sometimes the thicker leaved ones and the ripply ones are less prone to that kind of damage. So I would like to just get rid of this. It's one of those things I move around the garden because I feel bad getting rid of a perfectly good plant, except it's not a perfectly good plant. It kind of sucks as a plant. So anyway, we're popping out the other side now, and there is the little path that we haven't looked at once this year, until now. We'll walk around here again. Somebody asked me to try to slow the panning, which many people have, and I am trying to do, except I just remembered to do it now. So sorry. Okay, this area's been all cleaned out in here. So I would like to get I've got a plan working right now. I've put in here in the past a lot of sun plants because there is a time of day, and it must be the time of day when I'm mostly looking at it, where this is quite a lot of sun. But mostly this is shade. And it's taken me a lot of years to be like, hey, you need to be planting shade plants here, because especially here in our cooler zone where the sun just isn't that hot, I can plant shade plants in sun and they're usually fine as long as there's enough water. So working on a plan for this. This is one of the areas where I'd like to put in some of that, more of that stinking hellebore. I did put in a sand cherry over here. This is Jade Parade sand cherry. This is low and wide. So I might have to move some of the plants around it as it grows, which is fine. I think it's beautiful, and it should be very deer resistant, which is a big bonus. Aurelia, silver umbrella, always looking, well actually it does get a little tired. When the leaves start curling like this, it's a little hot, could use a little water. The leaves get a little bit discolored. It doesn't seem to affect it in any negative way. It seems to manage just fine. And then I don't think, except for, I didn't stake it. Oh, this Gladiolus is so pretty. I don't know which one it is. It came in a pack of Proven Winners bulbs, and I don't usually like Gladiolus, but I think that's gorgeous. And I didn't stake it. Could still stake it. Might do it. You never know. Everything here looks the same it did last week, I think. With the exception of the fact that some of the tiny quickfires, more of the tiny quickfires, are blooming finally, which took their own sweet time last year. And the neon sedum is really starting to color up quite a bit. Now this is kind of its, I mean, you can see that one's like a little bit more magenta. That's sort of its final color that'll get to. Colors up much quicker than other ones. In fact, I'll show you the Autumn Joy that I have over there. Finally, some more zinnias coming up. I'm delighted to see those, particularly in light of having to make some bouquets or assist with providing flowers for bouquets. This is Flavorette Honey Apricot. Who's in here? Bet you it's a cucumber beetle. They're bad. This rose smells delicious. Smells, it also is supposedly a edible rose. I think all roses are edible. I don't care. I'm not eating it. But some people like to do that and like to do things with roses and baking and stuff like that. And that one is apparently very good for that. Okay, here is what everyone knows and loves, Autumn Joy. I don't actually particularly love it that much, but you can see the color difference at this point of the year, although this one is in slightly more shade. And you really shouldn't be growing these in shade, but as you can see, they can tolerate a bit of not full sun. Anyway, that's Autumn Joy. And then you saw the other one over there. We have some very suspicious areas of our grass dying. We've never had great grass to begin with. I am worried that that is jumping worm damage, but I don't know that for a fact. And I guess I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over it because it's grass. Just make a bigger garden. I just want to pop over here to this border and you will see, first of all, the thistle situation. I have to pull these thistles every 2 weeks. That's how quickly they grow back. And this is all because across the road, they have let thistles go. Actually, they were better this year, so I think maybe they might have finally actually taken some steps, which I really appreciate. But if you have thistles in your neighborhood, they just blow everywhere. This is Canada thistle, not Canadian thistle. Don't blame the Canadians for it. They didn't do it because it's not native there either. Yeah, I think everything, if we can look past the weeds a little bit, everything here is looking pretty good. There's a few things, like some of the aronias here. I think this is groundhog aronia. The aronias don't look super happy. In fact, that one is like mostly dead. So that would say that of all the plants that we put in here, that's struggled. This half of this boxwood is dead, and I can almost guarantee you that that was somebody applying something that I didn't apply. That's my guess on that one, because I don't know why that boxwood would have trouble when I planted. That's the Skylight boxwood from Better Boxwood. I think I planted 9 of those. Every one of them looks great except for that one. So I'm pretty sure that's a scenario where somebody was spraying something. You know, I would say in this area, if the jury's out on anything, it's these Dsas. They're a little rangy looking. Not bad, but I don't know. I mean, I guess if I was going to pick anything that my least favorite thing in here at this point, I'd say it's probably these Dsas. These are the soft. Last week I showed you that I got a soft serve Chamaecyparis from Proven Winners in a pot. And I said, oh, I got 3, and then I never showed you the big ones. These are 3. I planted these last year. They are beautiful. I adore this plant. I do spray it with deer repellent, but it has been, I mean, knock on every bit of wood you have, people, has been untouched by the deer so far. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's even more gorgeous with a little bit of snow on it, because it is like picture perfect plant with a little bit of snow on it. It's stunning. They don't get too big. I think 10 feet tall. I don't know what they are. Maybe, I'm just guessing here, 6 feet wide, something like that. And we planted this little trio here. These, obviously, I went to a nursery where I could get bigger ones. These have put on growth though, this first year, which is great. But I really adore this plant. And in fact, if I were planting my berm at the end of the driveway where I've got dwarf Alberta spruces, again, I would put these in instead because these are so much better than dwarf Alberta spruces. Very pretty, very, very pretty plants. So I'm anxious to have another one to put, I don't know where yet, somewhere else. And then this is the Calathea, and the flowers are pretty much done. I love to leave these seed heads on here because they're really beautiful winter interest. And actually it was interesting, you know, I didn't know at what point I should cut them off because they weren't falling off. And somebody, several of you said, you don't. You just leave them on and they just kind of disappear when the new flowers come out. And so that's what we're going to do. So kind of became a Calathea fan. And then this is Kodiak Red Durvilla. This is bush honeysuckle, which is a native. Boy, it sure got bigger than I thought it was going to get. That's not a bad thing. I think it's great. We want big here. I just think I'm probably going to maybe move this one right here because I don't want anything interrupting the hawthorn. It's here. Hawthorn. That is not a hawthorn. You're all screaming at the camera. You're screaming at me, telling me what this is. Oh my God, this is what happens when I don't have enough coffee. You guys, I'm gonna put it on the screen. I'm so close. It's a hemlock. Jeez Louise. Holy smokes, that was a lot of grinding gears in my brain to get to that. I love this hemlock. It looks a little, whatever. I think I gotta give that thing more water, probably. But the deer have been nice to that too, so that's good. So let me just, I'm gonna try to do sort of a slower pan here as per request. This garden is looking real crispy. That's what happens when you plant and this is Earth Angel Hosta. I love it and it looks great until like mid to late July, and then it gets crunchy because it's a hosta growing in full sun. So you can't blame the hosta for that, right? So there is the garden for this week. My brain has definitely moved on to projects that will make the garden better next year. I don't know if that's the way you guys work, but for me, you know, my brain, I'm really into it. Like I wanted to get a lot of planting done, but everything is like thinking about next year at this point. I'm just gonna kind of end here and say, look at how pretty this is. Just a brand new opening flower of Waltzing Matilda with those beautiful blue pop star hydrangeas that are now, all those flowers are really opening up. Gorgeous. Love it. Okay, that's it. Sorry for the delay getting this out, but this is definitely a better tour than I filmed yesterday. So I hope you're having a great day in your garden. If you have a day off today, getting everybody ready to go back to school or whatever you're doing, good luck with everything. Enjoy it. Soak it up as much as you can, and we will see you soon. Thanks for watching.